see. Hold on, let me turn on my light so y'all can see my handsome face. Type shit. God damn. Oh. Here we go, y'all. This what we on, bro. This what we on.
Cartoons. There.
Hold on, what is it called? Craziest cartoon secrets you won't believe are true. Let's get into this shit. This shit 30 minutes. But
What all childhoods are made
got
of.
me some shrimp
However,
stew.
we all have to grow up, and one thing life teaches us is that not everything is as it seems. Cartoons included. So today we'll be uncovering some hidden truths ranging from the practical secrets of animation that will blow your mind to the peculiar reasons why The Simpsons are yellow. We'll also check out the adult jokes you missed in SpongeBob and a sprinkling of very sinister theories and interpretations that, fair warning, may just ruin your childhood favorites forever.
Wow.
So stick with me as I reveal some of
Nobody
the
ruined my
craziest
childhood.
and darkest cartoon secrets you won't believe are true.
Chad, do y'all people put potatoes in their shrimp stew? Let me know. Cause this shit busting.
Daddy issues. Since debuting in 1989, The Simpsons has certainly earned its place in pop culture's Hall of Fame. With a perfect mix of relatable family life moments and hilarious satire, even predicting the future at times, The Simpsons is seemingly a fountain of eternal entertainment. Needless to say, in its long-running history, a few strange mysteries have arisen, with some remarkable theories attempting to explain them. For instance, the question of who Ralph Wiggum's real dad is. But Chief Wiggum is Ralph's dad, I'm sure you're exclaiming. But you just might be wrong. I mean, think about it. The two of them bear virtually no resemblance. Sure, Ralph has similar features to his mom Sarah, such as her eyes and nose, but he seems to have inherited none of Chief Clancy's ruggedly handsome good looks. The question is, if Wiggum isn't Ralph's father, then which Springfielder is?
I ain't never really watched The Simpsons like that. I ain't gonna
fans
lie,
have had
y'all.
one gentleman caller on their radar, Eddie, Chief Wiggum's colleague. And it makes sense, both he and Sarah would be naturally acquainted, not to mention that Eddie and Ralph have strikingly similar hairdos. But of course, this is all just conjecture, right? Well, until recently, yes. But in season 34, episode Lisa the Boy Scout, the show writers actually addressed the rumors.
I know Eddie is Ralph's father. Look at the hair. Look at the hair.
No, Clancy, I swear to you, it's not true.
My son's breath smells like cat food.
Okay, you got me.
Your
So there you
fucking
have
thought.
it. Eddie is, in fact,
That
Ralph's
bitch.
dad. Seems like Sarah has some explaining to do. But wait a moment. It turns out the clip we just saw is from an episode that, according to the Simpsons wiki, isn't actually considered canon, meaning it was purely a self-aware throwaway joke. So right now, the mystery seems to be officially unresolved. Fortunately, for some peace
Nah,
of mind
that's
by
that nigga daddy.
contrast, there's no denying that my dad is my dad. We're identical. Tricks of the trade. By their very nature, cartoons aren't intended to be realistic. I mean, how many grand pianos have you been crushed by lately? I spoke too soon! But
Hey there, boy.
besides sky-falling pianos, there's something distinctly unrealistic about classic cartoons. Their fingers. Just take notice of your favorite cartoon characters. Chances are they only have 4 digits. There surely must be a reason for this, no? Well, around the early 20th century, when animation was still new, it was a very costly process. In fact, adjusted for inflation, Disney's 1928 7-minute short, Steamboat Willie, cost over $87,000. Now, granted, Pixar movies nowadays cost as much as $100,000 per minute of animation, but these modern flicks are way more complex, and Disney has a ton more resources available now than it did back in the Steamboat Willie days. Back then, Disney animators had to be thrifty. They realized that drawing just one less finger saved a ton of time, which in turn saved heaps of moolah. This cost effectiveness is part of the reason why classic cartoons look like, well, cartoons. Realism was just far too arduous and expensive, so characters were aesthetically simplified. Even in more recent times, animators have created similar shortcuts, such as Ursula the octopus having only 6 tentacles instead of 8. Intriguingly, given that cartoon fingers need to be large enough to see individually, animators have also concluded that 5 fingers just don't look right. Walt Disney even said himself if Mickey Mouse had 5 fingers, his hands would look like bunches of bananas. And that's an image no one wants to imagine. But speaking of Mickey's hands, what is the deal with those gloves? What's he hiding? Hidden hand tattoos? Concealed magical ice powers? Green, rotten, infected claws from some
They got Thanos rings on this glove, nigga.
While it's possible Mickey's fingers may look all kinds of weird under those gloves, there are a few official reasons classic cartoon characters like Mickey wear white gloves. Similar to the 4-finger situation, drawing gloves was quicker and easier, which ultimately cut down costs. You see, hands present several time-consuming challenges such as joints and nails. That's why I don't have them. Gloves, on the other hand, pun fully intended, were an easy way for animators to convey hand gestures without the need to worry about finer details. It also had to do with color. Colored TV wasn't mainstream until around the 1960s, and consequently characters like Mickey Mouse began their life in black and white. For Mickey, a mostly black character, it made sense for him to have contrasting white hands, as they'd otherwise get lost when interacting with his black body, which can actually be seen here in Steamboat Willie, when Mickey didn't yet have gloves. In addition to that, Walt also revealed in his 1957 biography that gloves were intended to make Mickey, a rodent, look a little more human. I guess the red pants weren't quite enough. 4 fingers aside, can you spot anything that iconic cartoon characters like these 3 have in common? Yep, they each have something around their neck, which, as I'll explain, is completely intentional. In 1940, animation duo William Hanna and Joseph Barbera created what is now a cartoon icon, Tom and Jerry. By 1956,
You try to call me weird, but I eat my shrimp stew and red beans. Anything that you put sausages in, I move the sausages to the side. I don't eat the sausages.
the pair formed Hanna-Barbera Studios and began churning out hit after hit. Titles included The Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, Yogi Bear, and The Jetsons, to name a few. Hanna-Barbera was going pedal to the metal, and it needed a way to streamline things, which was achieved by the unlikely addition of neck pieces. Hanna-Barbera discovered that if they added something around the neck to divide the head from the body, they could get away with animating only the head and using the same static drawing for the body when characters were stood still. Just take notice here how both Wilma and Betty's bodies are completely still, while their heads, divided by their necklaces, are the only things moving. Pretty clever, huh? There's no doubt these classic cartoonists were true masters of the phrase, "Why work harder when you can work smarter?"
Nigga been peeped that.
Colorful characters. Part of what makes the Simpsons family so iconic is their unique design. But do you actually know why they have yellow skin and such bizarre-shaped heads? In 1985, producer James L. Brooks proposed that Matt Groening adapt his comic book strip Life in Hell for short animations to be featured on The Tracy Ullman Show. Fearing that this might entail him giving up ownership of his characters, Matt decided to create some new ones instead. The story goes that one day he was left waiting over an hour for a meeting, so he got to doodling. In that time, he claims he created the Simpsons family, which was essentially based on his own. Matt's real-life parents were called Homer and Margaret. He also had 2 little sisters, Lisa and Maggie, and an older sister called Patty. And there's an argument to be made that Matt himself is Bart. After all, no one else seems to fit that mischievous slot, and Matt wrote a novel in high school where the main character was also called Bart Simpson. Now, of course, Groening's family didn't look all that much like The Simpsons. In fact, I'd be pretty concerned if they did. So why do The Simpsons have such strange appearances, haircuts, and head shapes, even when compared to their fellow Springfield residents? Well, not only does it make them memorable to us, the audience, but it also distinguishes them from other Springfielders. They're the principal characters, and as such, they have the most exclusive design that cannot really be seen in any other characters. But the real mystery is, why are they yellow? Why aren't they normal skin color? Or why not blue or red or another
No, the real
arbitrary
mystery
color?
is why the
Well,
hell
aside from being an eye-catching
do this
color
nigga
that
know the
gives show
fucking
a
future?
memorable, distinctive look, there's the
This
fact
nigga
that Bart,
team,
Lisa, and
when they
Maggie
writing
have
shit.
no line to differentiate their hair.
That's the
from their
real
skin.
mystery.
So the designers felt that yellow could kind of pass for hair and kind of pass for skin. So that's what they went with. Kind of like me. I might look bald, but I actually have a ton of hair. It's just white. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are
What
you
is this nigga from?
Having been on our screen since 1969, Scooby-Doo has certainly earned its legendary status. And this time it's had countless series, movies, and spin-offs, which have all added to the rich Scooby lore. And they've all been pretty darn entertaining. That recent Velma show aside, of course, but we won't mention that. But did you know the 2010 spin-off series Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated revealed perhaps the biggest plot twist of the entire series? In the series, it's officially revealed that Scoob is actually an Anunnaki.
The fuck?
What's that, you say? Well, in this show, the Anunnaki are a race of extraterrestrial creatures, some of which are good, while others are pure evil and want to destroy the world. During a cosmic event known as Nibiru, which occurs every few
The Me Canyon video. The fucking Me Canyon video. They was right, my nigga. They was right. Was it the Me Canyon? Hold on. I gotta go look. It was, hold on. Hold on. It wasn't a Me Canyon video. It was Scooby-Doo. It said. I'm just about to type in scary. This bitch right here. What a these niggas was right. These niggas was right about this nigga. These niggas was right about this nigga. These niggas was right.
He was a
Where is
happy
that?
little tot of 6 years old, and on his birthday, he received
Look at this nigga.
And I'm thinking, like, there was no copyright infringement on that. Like, it was.
Look at this nigga.
Never the matter. I'll get it right. Next time.
Oh boy.
Look at this nigga.
Ew, he controls.
Run. I don't like to chase.
Oh my!
Them niggas was right.
1,000 years, the barrier between the Anunnaki's world and our own grows.
My dog,
enabling
school,
them to visit
man.
Earth. Interestingly,
School
the
about you cutting
Anunnaki have
up.
no physical form of their own, so
School
when
about
they
you
do visit
cutting
Earth,
up,
they
man.
inhabit the bodies of various animals, which explains sentient, ancient, and mythological creatures. And one of these creatures is none other than Scooby-Doo. Yep.
Please don't talk
in the
about my
lore of the
haircut, dog.
2010 series, Scooby-Doo is literally
I'm
an
fucked up right now.
interdimensional alien.
That's why nigga biting off niggas' heads and
So
shit.
while we might be safe to assume that our old pal Scoob is one of the good Anunnakis, we cannot be sure he's not one of the evil ones who's secretly plotting to destroy the world. He would have gotten away with it too, if it wasn't for those meddling show writers giving him a completely new and off-the-cuff origin story.
School about shit cutting up.
Modern Disney films are loaded with Easter eggs, in the form of covert clues and references to past and upcoming movies. These are usually found lurking in the background and, to the untrained eye, go completely unnoticed. As a result of some of these Easter eggs, die-hard fans often theorize that certain movies must exist within the same timeline. And to start us off, I feel a song coming on. Let it go, let it go. Thank you. Anyway, if you couldn't tell, this theory centers around Frozen. This 2013 box office
This
smash
nigga's
features
insane.
many a secret, including a guest appearance from Rapunzel from Tangled, post-haircut, of course. But one
Bald
secret
head
is a
out.
little less easy to spot and notably darker. In the film, we see Elsa and Anna's parents go on a ship voyage where they ultimately meet their demise. But while we're led to believe that Elsa and Anna's parents died at sea, that might not be the truth. According to a popular theory, they actually washed ashore on a jungle island. There they would have a little boy and start a new life.
Tarzan.
Alas, though, they would eventually be
Is that
tragically
Tarzan?
devoured by a leopard, leaving their defenseless baby orphaned. And
Tarzan.
in a crazy twist of fate, the baby would be raised by apes! Well, wait. Rewind. Isn't that just the plot of Tarzan? Meaning Tarzan is actually Elsa and Anna's brother? Yep, and yep. And while in-movie evidence of this is somewhere between scarce and non-existent, don't be too quick to assume that this is just some theory schmeary fabricated by Redditors with too much time on their hands. It was actually shared by Chris Buck, who literally co-directed both movies. Naturally, people without lives,
Look at this
Disney
freak.
fans have been quick to point out that the two stories don't perfectly align, specifically in regards to character design, time period, and locations. However, Chris prefaced that this is just his personal theory and not official canon to either of the films. Still, it's pretty fun to think that Tarzan and Frozen might be connected. I mean, just imagine. Hey, Elsa, Anna, great news. Your parents actually survived the shipwreck. Oh, but don't get too excited. They were brutally devoured by a leopard. Good news, though, you have a brother. Bad news, he was raised by apes and is currently flinging his own human waste at your dinner, yes. Yikes. Let's move on.
That nigga a goat. That nigga
The
Tarzan a
Pixar
goat,
code.
nigga.
Sticking to the theme of cinema Easter eggs, A113 is perhaps one of the greatest and most exclusive ones there is. If you look close enough in almost every Pixar feature, you'll find this enigmatic code concealed in the depths of CGI. But what exactly does it mean? Well, the answer takes us back to Pixar's origins. The spirit of Pixar was cultivated by names such as John Lasseter, Pete Docter, Andrew Stanton, and Brad Bird. These folks are all alumni of the prestigious California Institute of Arts. What's more, they and many future Pixar animators all learned their craft in the same classroom, A113. It was a dingy and cramped room, mind you, but nevertheless, it was the
Yeah, that
place where
shit fire,
Pixar would
though.
essentially be born.
That shit fire,
It's
though.
thought that Brad Bird began the fun tradition of hiding A113
Imagine all your niggas in the class on your man. Y'all chopping it up like, oh yeah, they gonna do this when they get up, do all that. Next thing you know, all y'all in the same classroom doing the same thing on the bigger shit. Making that bread. That's how I'm trying to be with my game.
in Disney films, starting with 1987's The Brave Little Toaster. The tradition continued with the development of Pixar, appearing in the studio's first feature, Toy Story. So A113 isn't some kind of covert subliminal code, but rather a nod to the studio's humble beginnings. So keep
Yeah,
an
that's
eye
just
out
their
for the
vibe,
next
though.
Disney or Pixar flick you enjoy. The reality of Nemo. Okay, so we've all seen Pixar's
Yeah,
Finding
man,
Nemo,
you can see
but
this,
did you
huh?
know that Finding Nemo, if it were more realistically based on the real laws of nature, would be far less child-friendly? Let me paint you a picture, and fair warning, things are about to get kinda horrific. Marlin and his wife Coral were admiring the deep blue when bam! Out of nowhere, a barracuda gobbled up Coral in her nest of unhatched eggs.
Hold on. My bad.
Picture and fair warning, things are about to get kinda horrific. Marlin and his wife Coral were admiring the deep blue when bam! Out of nowhere, a barracuda gobbled up Coral in her nest of unhatched eggs. But wait, there was one left. This ray of hope, Marlin named Nemo. With Nemo born, there was only one thing left for Marlin to do. Become a woman. And as
Nigga,
Nemo grew
what?
into an adult fish himself, his mother Marlin suggested the unthinkable. That it was time for the two clownfish to have some children of their own.
Hold on,
stop,
Pops.
cut.
Hold on, Pops.
It might just be the worst
Pops,
thing I've ever
hold
had to
on.
narrate. But technically, in the wild, this is pretty much exactly how it would have gone down.
Pops,
you see,
hold on
clownfish
now,
are
Pops.
sequential hermaphrodites, meaning that they are all born biologically male but can transform to become female to meet the needs of their social hierarchy. Should the group's breeding female die, as with Coral in Finding Nemo, the former breeding male partner will change sex to replace her and mate with its own male offspring. Yikes. No
So
wonder
these
why
niggas
Marlin
all
was so
transgenders.
desperate to find Nemo. Anyone got Child Protective Services number? SpongeBob Secrets.
Oh, lives in a pineapple under the sea.
Sorry
Hey,
about
shit.
that. Anyway, since hitting our screens in 1999, SpongeBob SquarePants has become an icon. But it seems there might be more to the show than one silly little
Bruh, not like in a bad way, bruh. Not like in a bad way. Like they just changed into nigga.
Sponge's shenanigans. For example, did you know that the show is actually a big metaphor for environmental issues? Well, that is at least according to one theory. According to online theorists, each character personifies a different aspect of global warming and wider societal issues. Let me explain. SpongeBob, who resembles a human-made kitchen sponge more than the naturally occurring sponges of the sea, represents sea pollution. Meanwhile, Patrick, SpongeBob's incredibly stupid friend,
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Stupid
he is said to
ass.
represent
I hate this
society's
nigga.
obliviousness to what's going on in terms of climate change and pollution. After all, he literally and metaphorically lives under a rock. Meanwhile, money-hungry Mr. Krabs is an embodiment of the big corporations, aka the main culprits of pollution.
Hello, I like money.
And finally, perhaps the most relatable SpongeBob character, Squidward.
Oh, please. I have no soul.
This misunderstood cultural fiend is thought to represent liberalism. What with his artistic passions and enlightenment often ignored, if not ridiculed, leaving him forced to work for a corporation he dislikes.
Hang in there, Squidward. It's all part of the job.
While
I'm
this
feeling bad for my
socio-political and
dog, Squidward.
ecological commentary is all just theory and not part of the show's canon, there are other hints in the show that might actually corroborate this. For example, just take a look at the houses in Bikini Bottom. I mean, what exactly are they? Well, some say they look a lot like car mufflers, potentially meaning that Bikini Bottom is so polluted that its residents have no option but to live in human trash. Do you think any of this checks out? The question I'm sure is on everyone's mind is, why does SpongeBob live in a pineapple? Well, show creator, the late Steven Hillenburg, explained that while things in the show might often seem random, everything is quite thought out. For instance, much of the visual imagery is inspired by Hawaiian and Polynesian culture, and lo and behold, pineapples are often a recurring motif in these cultures' art and fabrics. But besides that, Steven also explained how he thought SpongeBob would simply like the smell of a pineapple. I mean, I get it. In the same vein, I'd like to live in a pot of Wendy's chili. Moving over to Squidward's humble abode, we can see how he lives in what looks to be one of the famed Easter Island head statues. How one of those ended up under the sea remains a mystery. But what is interesting is that Squidward's home probably has a secret underground body. You see, while they're often referred to as just heads, the Easter Island statues actually have buried torsos, meaning our pal Squidward probably has a pretty gnarly basement. Though of all the real estate in Bikini Bottom, the Krusty Krab is not just odd, it's disturbing. While it might be the town's favorite fast food joint, the Krusty Krab conceals a dark secret. This, what you're looking at right now, is what the Krusty Krab is based on. And do you know what it is? Yep, it's a crab trap. But wait, why would Mr. Krabs, a crab himself, set up shop in a crab trap? Well, that's where things get twisted. For over 20 years now, Plankton and fans alike have yearned to know the Krabby Patty's secret formula. And after being reportedly released on Nick.com only to later be removed, the recipe states the patty is made from, and I quote, imitation crab meat. Imitation crab meat is typically made of pulverized whitefish, which already has pretty disturbing connotations, but with the Krusty Krab literally being a crab trap, I'm not all that convinced that it's imitation and not the real thing. So is Mr. Krabs a cannibal? Well, there's not enough evidence to say for sure, and the show's producers have more recently claimed Krabby Patty.
Oh, wait. I'm trying to think of when the last time I seen Mr. Krabs eat a Krabby Patty.
Are actually plant-based, but I still don't
I
think
mean,
I'd
it
be
is
surprised
called
about
Krabby
some wildly
Patty.
inaccurate ingredient labeling from this money-loving crustacean, would you? Disney Deja Vu. Disney has been known to reuse the odd idea or two. I mean, being resurrected from the dead via acts of true love is just one of them. Sadly, no matter how many times I tried, that old Disney trick certainly didn't work on my hamster. But the point is, it's not just plot lines Disney have recycled, but actual animation too. Don't believe me? Take a look.
The fuck they got going on? They recycle that shit. Yeah. These are cycled as animations.
Pretty mind-blowing, huh? And while the evidence is there in plain sight, the question is, why? Well, the rumor goes that in the 1970s, when Disney movies like Robin Hood came out, the studio was broke, and recycling old animations was a cheap way to make ends meet. However, while this would have certainly saved some time from designing and planning new movement sequences, it isn't the whole truth. According to Floyd Norman, a Disney animator, the director of Robin Hood and Winnie the Pooh, Wolfgang Reitherman wanted to play it safe by using animation he knew worked. You see, after Walt died in 1966, the studio essentially lost its guiding star. And well, it showed, as Disney's profits from their animation features began to decline. What Wolfgang was doing was perhaps an attempt to recapture some of the Walt Disney magic by sticking with the old charm. This is why some films from this period feature direct copies of the studio's older animations. It's kind of like some of the nostalgia-baiting unnecessary sequels we see today, only at least these Disney movies were pretending to be original. Not child-friendly. My mom loves to tell me that I need to stop being a deadbeat and watching kids' cartoons. However, it just so happens that many children's cartoons aren't all that child-friendly. Top suspect is our old pal, Mr. SquarePants. Throughout the series, his nautical nonsense has oftentimes resulted in some pretty adult jokes that went completely over our heads as kids, but watching now are pretty on the nose. I mean, just take a look at this from the season 2 episode, Your Shoes Untied.
Gary!
I
was just looking for the sports channel, Gary.
Dear God, of course, all we see is a dancing anemone. But judging by SpongeBob's sheer panic, we can assume he may have been watching a sea creature's equivalent of a one-handed workout video, if you catch my drift. Moving on to something equally PG unfriendly, check out this scene from the season 7 episode, The Play's the Thing.
What, blowing up a comma?
And just in case you still didn't get the joke, let's just say that those were not balloons. Wow, who knew Squidward would look so good in latex? No idea how that one got past the censor, but I suppose the sponge's prophylactics look just enough like balloons to slip through. Admittedly, it's not just the SpongeBob who's been up to no good. Donald Duck, too. And trigger warning, you may never look at him the same way again.
What, beating this shit or some shit? That nigga rock.
Looks like Donald just pitched a tent there. Thankfully, that uncomfortable image from 1947's Wide Open Spaces short film is later revealed to be a rock poking through Donald's sleeping mat and beyond. But it's safe to assume that those Disney animators had a good laugh, even if they have just ruined all of our childhoods. But it's not just Donald's unwanted protrusions that made for an awkward moment in a Disney cartoon. Take a look at these sausages in the background of the 1933 Three Little Pigs short. Yep, the Three Little Pigs having a jig, all the while a portrait of their father immortalized in the form of sausage can be spotted in the background. Ah, I have a similar portrait of my late grandmother. Rest in s'mores, Grandma. Rest in s'mores.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Daddy Doofenshmirtz. Now, if you are a millennial or older, You might
Don't
not be
booze me,
as
bro.
familiar with this next
Do
one.
not booze me.
Phineas and Ferb was a cartoon that first aired on the Disney Channel in 2007, with the premise being two stepbrothers who would embark on wild adventures and constructions each episode. During the series, we're never introduced to Phineas's biological dad, and while it's not an important part of the plot, it has left fans wondering who the mystery man might be.
That might be
Phineas's head
his
is
daddy.
distinctly triangular. In fact, if you look at both Phineas and Ferb, notice how their silhouettes reference their initials P and F. And while Phineas's triangular head is unique to him, there is one other character with a similar shaped head. Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
So that's just a
You know,
nigga
the show's
daddy.
villain who will stop at nothing to rule
Yeah,
the tri-state
would make
area.
sense.
Of course, the initial
Because how
resemblance
creative
might not be
these
striking,
both of them
but
is.
notice how they both not only have triangular heads, but little hair sprouts from the top. Fans have even extended the theory to Candace, Phineas's sister. From her slouch and long neck to the fact that both she and Doofenshmirtz are lactose intolerant. But then again, an estimated 68% of the population also is.
Nah, that's crazy.
So I guess for now, Phineas and Candace's dad
Nah,
are
that's
the
crazy.
long neck triangular
Nah, that's
mystery.
definitely that nigga daddy.
You're not
Red,
my
blue,
dad.
and green. In the intro to the Powerpuff Girls, we're told that these
I ain't watched this
superhuman
shit.
gals were created in a lab made from sugar, spice, and everything nice. Not to mention the all-important Chemical X, which bestowed them their superpowers. However, behind the scenes, there was actually another source of inspiration, and it came from a Disney classic. The three Powerpuff Girls each have distinctive personalities booted with their own trademark colors, red, blue, and green. And you know which other famous trio also share these same colors? No, not Alvin and the Chipmunks. The fairies from Sleeping Beauty. Yep, even the Powerpuff Girls' personalities overlap with those of the fairies. There's the sweet one, the energetic one, and tough one. Perhaps you could even theorize that the Sleeping Beauty fairies are the Powerpuff Girls grown up, after traveling through some kind of wacky MCU logic time portal to the medieval times. Stranger things have happened in that show. I mean, their main adversary was a talking monkey, for crying out loud. Now think about this. What do you do when you're on public transport, cleaning your house, or you generally just can't stare at a screen? Do you still want to learn amazing facts and have your mind blown? Well, I've got the solution. Be Amazed is now available in podcast form. Look up Be Amazed on all major the Chandler Vouchers Award podcast.
Oh.
Winners will be
That's the end of the video.
and in true Looney Tunes style.
Alright, bro, that bit was fire. I get that bit was fire. It was alright, drop like.